introduce yourself and I'll introduce myself so our followers can kind of get to know each other.
Sure. Hi, Faye. Okay. My name is Farah, and I'm the owner and creative director of Marasil Cards. It's a stationery business that is specialized in empowering Arab women, giving them a voice to express themselves honestly, just like, you know, guilt-free, blunt-free. Opposite of what we're talking about today. So this is who I am. Um, I'm here to just support you with everything that I can, if you're an Arab woman or not. And I'm looking forward to enjoy my life to the fullest. Let's put it this way. Um, Amanda.
Nice. Who am I? I'm Amanda, obviously. I used to be a lawyer. I was a lawyer for 10 years. I'm from Dearborn. But I realized this year that I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. So I quit my job. And now I do energy work. I teach meditation. I work one on one with clients to kind of help them make changes in their lives. I work through limiting beliefs, for example, help people rewire their thoughts to know that they can live their dream life. And I love to work with Arab women because there's so many barriers, and some of them are in our heads, to actually going out there and doing what you want in life and, just being happy. So that's the work I'm doing now. And yeah, I'm just really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, you guys, Amanda does amazing work. I've attended
Thank
one of the
you.
workshops she does, and it helped me for the rest of my life.
Thank
I don't know
you.
if I need to mention how, like, you were a lawyer. I don't know if people know that I'm also a biology teacher, but it's fun. But I want to say that I just want to mention it that you can do anything you want to do, multiple jobs, multiple things. And it's so funny when people ask me to introduce myself. Before, it used to be so easy, like I'm a biology teacher, whatever. Now I'm a
Yeah,
business owner,
same.
right? But now, like, because I don't feel like my job um, says who I am. I
Mhm.
wanna introduce myself like, hi, this is Farah, and those are the things that I'm interested in. So it's getting a little more awkward. I feel like after you've accomplished so much, you don't care to introduce yourself through the accomplishments anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I just posted a reel that basically said the same thing. It's like when you ask the question of like, who am I?
Hmm.
Like we always
Oh
think, oh, I have to
yeah.
list all my accomplishments, but actually, like we're like, who are you as a person is a totally different question.
Um, yeah. Okay, so we wanted to talk about guilt culture in our Arab
Hmm.
culture. It's big. We all feel guilty all the time. Oh my God, I feel so bad. What am I
Hmm.
gonna
Hmm.
do? This is like non-stop, right? It's going in your
Yeah.
head non-stop. Yeah, Faye, you're right. You don't belong to your profession and doesn't, those labels do not
Hmm.
determine identity, right? But anyway, back to the whole guilt talk. We wanted to start by talking about causes or what are some different types of guilt in our lives.
Yeah.
Uh, so I don't know, Amanda, if you want to start with what would make you or what used to make you feel guilty.
Yeah, I think for me it started in Sunday school, right? Like the biggest like driver in my guilt growing up, and it's a little bit different than the guilt I feel now, is that I had this kind of like religious guilt because when I went to Sunday school in Dearborn, like, and this is not, I'm not trying to like say anything about the Sunday school teachers or like make any statement about it, but I was constantly told that I was going to go to hell, that if I don't wear a scarf, I'm going to go to hell, I'm going to burn. Like, if someone even told me if you don't wear gloves on your hands, like if I show my hands to the outside world, like I'm going to be punished, God's going to punish me. And that stuck with me for so long that I all of a sudden like started feeling guilty about everything for like a large part of my young life. And they were so specific. It was like, if you're a bad person, you're gonna try to go to heaven, but like the road to heaven is gonna turn into razor blades, and your feet are gonna get cut, and then you're gonna fall off and fall into hell. And
Oh,
so as a really young child, to have heard that kind of stuff, um, it caused me to feel guilty all the time about doing things that like my people at school were doing. Like when I went to middle school, I started having crushes on boys. And I felt so guilty for that. Yeah, Maya, you're right. The drama, like it was so dramatic that it like gets burned into your mind. So
Descriptive, like specifics, they can tell you the type
exactly.
of blade also that you'll
Yeah,
be talking about.
exactly. And I was so little, I didn't know that like
What
how to,
age
I
was
didn't
it?
know
Like
like to
around
go
what
to the
age?
Quran and fact check it. Like I just assumed like that was all true. So like if I had a crush on a boy, I would be like, oh, I'm gonna go to hell, I'm gonna burn like it. So I just had this like guilt all the time just for like being who I was. And like having a crush on a boy is so normal when you're in middle school.
Right.
But if you look at my diary from middle school, it's like I listed all the 5 reasons I broke up with this boy, and it was like dating is haram, and I was feeling so guilty. The guilt was like eating me alive, so I had to end it. Like I was literally in middle school. I never even talked to him in
Wow.
person. We had
Wow.
like an online relationship. So that's how I started feeling like religious guilt all the time. And then I think now my guilt is related to just feeling like I have so many family relationships. I have so many job obligations or like life obligations that it's like I can never be enough for each thing. And I'm constantly like feeling like I'm like not being a good enough daughter or sister or worker if I'm working, or like working on my business, and now for my other business, like there's just so much then we have women do so much that I feel constantly like I'm not doing enough. So that's the evolution of my guilt. But I know you have a lot even more to deal with because you have mom guilt, which I
Right.
haven't
Right.
encountered yet. So I don't know if you want to talk about your guilt now.
Just as far as the religious guilt and like you the kind of ideas that obviously like were fed to you, whether obviously, I mean, this is like common sense that a lot of this is false and a lot of this whatever is exaggerated, etc., etc. We're not here to judge, we're not here to tell people what to say or what to do, but how did you get over this? Like, how were you able to so I'm not saying how did you stop feeling guilty about it, but
Yeah.
how did you realize that what you've been telling me all of my life as a child about my religion is false?
Yeah, it wasn't really until I started studying Islam in college. Like I went to classes and learned about it like from a more academic perspective, and I realized like here's the sources of information about the religion, and I actually went to those sources of information like the actual Quran, like, and I realized like these people don't, there's nothing specific that says you're going to burn in hell if you do this, this, and this. It's just like these are like things that have been passed down somehow and have like gotten into the consciousness of certain people. So that kind of helped, but it really wasn't until 2019 when I started working with energy and like Reiki healing that I had this revelation that like, oh, I'm actually a good person. Like it literally took till
Wow.
2019. So I was what, like 30 at that point, like, and with what Reiki is like a very divine healing energy, and it actually connects you with God's love. So I felt like, oh, God actually loves us, and like I'm not a bad person because I did XYZ thing, and I don't need to like feel, I kind of like started to release some of the guilt like from my body, because guilt and shame get stuck in
Mhm.
your body. But it's crazy to me that like
Keep you down. Yep.
like it took me that long to be like, oh, like I'm not a bad person, like I'm a good person.
Yeah, absolutely. Which you mentioned a good point that the people that you're raised around and the responsibility of, raising you as a child, whether it's from the school or from the parents or even, the grandparents, whatever, the things that we say have a big weight on kids.
Mhm.
Sometimes, like a lot of times we tell, you tell a child like, don't do this, it's haram. And we confuse things that are, haram with aib, with culturally not accepted. And those are
Yeah,
like so many
that's so
different,
true.
right, so many different levels. But we don't understand that when you can't just use the word haram left and right, because it has
Hmm.
a very heavy tone. And it's like, haram means it's like you've messed up, like this
Yeah,
is really hard to repent, and to get yourself out of there. So you can't just throw words on kids left and right, no matter how much you think she's gonna forget it by tomorrow morning. No, they won't. It's
right.
stuck with them. I mean, how sad it is that you had to wait until I mean, and you were educated enough where you went and you looked for information. Most
Hmm.
of the people do not even go further beyond and look. 30 years of your life of you living in guilt and fear,
Yeah,
right?
fear, that's huge. The fear, like the constant fear that like I'm gonna go to hell because I
What if I
did
die?
like normal human
What happens
things.
to me? Right? Yeah. Like,
Hmm.
what if this thing is really real? What if the razors are there waiting for me? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
this is a possibility in your thought process. So it's messed up that our words have a lot of weight, and especially our collective words as a community, and
Hmm.
that feeds into the guilt. So
It
yeah,
does.
the type of guilt that I've had, um, when I was younger, and as I became a teenager, and as I immigrated from Lebanon, came here to America. Obviously, like I come from a very humble family. My parents, they went above and beyond to raise me and send me and my siblings over here so we can get a better education, better life, whatever, like the beginning of immigration, the whole, so I'm like first generation immigrant, kind of like your
Yeah.
parents, right?
Yeah.
So we feel the weight of our parents basically own us. That's how we feel. It's not that that's
Right.
how what they want. They
Right.
never told us, I own you, you know
Right.
they never decided, okay, you're gonna do this or I'm gonna be upset with you for the rest of life, even though that this it happens with some other families. However, that's how we feel like we owe them everything. We owe them our happiness, our life choices, our spouse choices, everything, like
Yeah.
so I went through so many I'd even make a choice to upset my spouse so many times. I can't believe that I'm saying this live. Okay, Ali, if you're watching, I love you. I choose you and them, but okay. But so many times, yes, I made a choice to, okay, I'd rather my spouse be upset with me than my parents. And it's like, why do you need to think about continuously about how are they gonna feel? How is everybody gonna be upset?
Right.
Um, and it's just things that we do to ourselves. It's like self torture continuously. When you keep thinking, my dad gave us all of his life, worked 34 years as a teacher, day and night. My mom did this and that so we can have a better life. How dare I not do what they want me to do in school, let's say, and I did not. Like I did the thing that I wanted to do, and they
Hmm.
didn't mind. But still, in the back of my head, I always felt I know that I could have made my dad happier had I been a pharmacist, let's say,
Hmm.
and I was fully capable to be a pharmacist, right?
Hmm.
Over like a biology teacher or whatever. So, so you're always second guessing yourself. You're never sure
Yeah.
that they're completely happy with you.
Yeah, and it's like
You
that immigrant guilt is so real, like the pressure it puts on us when we know that our parents have made like insane sacrifices. Like,
right.
the thought that like my dad came here not even knowing the language with literally $20 in his pocket,
Hmm.
and he didn't get to do what he wanted to do in life. Like he had to literally start working the day he arrived. And I think that's kind of what caused me to go into law, even though it wasn't what I wanted to do. It's like I wanted to make my dad proud because my dad had made all these sacrifices. My dad invested so much into my education and like sending me to really good schools. And so I felt like I owed it to him kind of too. But we never even had this conversation, which is the funniest part. Is like
Right.
I just
All
took on,
everything is in your head.
yeah,
All the
yeah,
conversations happen.
like I took on so much. And then when I left my job, the biggest thing I felt guilty about was my dad. Like I was afraid that my dad was going to be disappointed in me, and I was terrified to tell him. Terrified. Like I literally was like having a panic attack about it. So I'm really glad you brought that up because it's so real for children of immigrants. Like this constant like not wanting to disappoint our parents because our parents went through so much and sacrificed so much to give us the life that we have now.
Yeah. I feel like at one point it's crippling. And I know that, parents are different and some parents like are extremely verbal. Like they'd actually tell
Hmm.
their children, no, 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 like hey, I've sacrificed my life for you. If
Right.
you try to do something that I disapprove of, I'll disown you. Like something like that. Even if it's jokingly, right? They're like, I know a lot of parents who would say that like jokingly to their kids, but you don't understand that especially if your children are raised well, like we're good people.
Hmm.
We care about our parents' feelings. We don't want our parents to be hurt. We don't want them to feel like they've worked for nothing, you know. Unfortunately, and I say that our parents take pride in having their children as their biggest investment.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's awesome. Like, you know, yeah, like in front of Allah and in front of everything, of course, I have an obligation and a duty to raise my child right. But my life is not the beginning and the end of my life is not my kids,
Hmm.
because then I am putting, you know, I'm investing everything in a second person that can make those choices for me. Like it's such a bad, volatile, changing, you know, investment that why would you do that to yourself? And our parents and grandparents, et cetera, their whole entire life, you know, I'm working so I can put my kids in a you know, private school, whatever, day and night. I'm doing this, and all of the investment is my children, my children. And so the little disappointment becomes a huge, massive disappointment,
Yeah, that's so true.
right? So like because you're not it's not just that you didn't expect them to mess up. It's because you've invested so much of your
Right.
time and
Like,
energy and money, you know?
yeah, because their lives revolve around us in a way because like they have unlived dreams, and they've kind of put all of that into us to like live out their dreams, or at least that's what it feels like from my perspective. And like really at the end of the day, they just want us to be happy. Yeah, Faye brought up codependency. That's like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
so true. It's when you like you feel like you can't do what you want to do to make you happy because you're gonna upset someone else. And like what does that tell you growing up that you need to put other people's feelings before your own, which is so dangerous because like
Oh,
I'm thinking that there's times when like in dating situations like someone has approached me and I've had to like say no to them and I feel so guilty. Like I don't know how to say no to people. Like
yeah.
I don't know how
No,
to
you
like
don't know how to
stick
say
up
no.
for
You don't know how
myself.
to set boundaries, right? You don't know.
Exactly. Because
Yeah,
you're used to like doing what you think other people want you to
yeah,
do.
yeah.
And for me, it wasn't until my 30s where I was like, what do I want to do with my life? Like,
Right. Okay, like I've been doing everything that all of these people that I love and I care about and I respect wanted me to do. And they may be, you know, they're not fully happy with me. They're never going to be fully happy with you.
hmm.
One, because they always want more. They want the better for you, right? And two, because they see and they sense that you're not happy. And so if
Hmm.
they see and they sense that you're not happy, they're never going to be happy. You know, your parents, everybody else that cares about you, God, whatever, just wants you to be happy. Marasil, Ahmed, what's up? We're talking some deep level stuff. But yeah, what I wanted to say, you know, about the how it carries on to your other relationships, like you were saying, is yeah, you don't know how to say no, you don't know how to disappoint people, or maybe you, like even me, I'd say that very, you know, like transparently. I'm a, you know, unlike my siblings, I'm a very diplomatic person, right? So I don't know how to tell you no, or you know, like you want to come to my house. I don't know how to say that my house is always open. We have this thing, right? Our houses are always
Yeah.
open. Everybody's always welcome. Um, and so sometimes I can't, like, you know, like I'm not dressed. I'm taking a
Hmm.
shower. It's not whatever. Like, you know, even if it means I'm not ready mentally, right? I don't know how to say don't no, don't come, or you know, like I'm not available now. I had to learn how to say that through time. I
Yeah.
would say
I still am
before
learning. I
I
still
would
don't
say
know how to
before,
say no.
right. I would say before, yeah, sure. And then I would like go through like a tornado, you know, spree in my bedroom, trying to put anything on and just like, why would you stress yourself so much? You think, look, okay, my brother, he's calling me, let's say, hey, Farah, I want to come to your house with my son, you know, or I'm like 5 minutes away, right? Text me, I'll tell you exactly what to say.
Thank you, Faye. We need you.
Right, we need you. But like I'm 5 minutes away. Okay, you think if I tell my brother, you know, um, can you be here in half an hour? What is he gonna say? Oh my God, Farah, what is this? Belazo, no manners. What is this? If my brother is gonna say that, what kind of sibling is this, right?
Yeah.
Or like instead of saying even can you be here in half an hour, I'm available in half an hour. Okay. So thank you, Adel. But what do you call this? You know, but it's so hard. I'm even having a hard time expressing it. Look, like I'm struggling because I haven't
Yeah.
practiced this enough. I don't know how to say no, and this is something that I continuously work on, putting boundaries. And the moment that I started to do that, and my business has taught me how to do that and
Hmm.
has empowered me to do that, my life was so much easier. And the people around me, nothing changed. Like the way they look at me, the way it's like the same exact thing. Like the whole struggle was something between me and me. Rana
Yeah,
was talking about
exactly. It is.
teaching. Yeah. Um,
Also, I was gonna say you brought up a really good point of like our
yeah.
parents' generosity and like the hospitality of Arab culture also plays into people pleasing because we've been taught that when people come over, we drop everything, we go get the tea, we like do this.
Oh
There
yeah.
is
Oh yeah.
like
Okay.
that's what was modeled to us. I want to read Samia's comment. Yeah, Samia said she's constantly seeking validation from her parents because of the guilt I feel. Yes, same.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
does affect
I
your
make my
confidence.
own choice. I do. I do. Honestly, I do. I'm a 34-year-old woman with 3 kids and an awesome husband, and I consult with my parents about everything. I still do.
And sometimes your parents are not going to say, I'm so proud of you. Like, I know that my dad is proud of me, but he doesn't verbalize that very often. So
Mm-hmm.
I've also had to learn how to do that for myself. Like, when I moved to California, I wrote myself a letter about how proud I am of myself because I like wasn't getting that from outside sources. And the truth is you don't actually need it from outside sources,
Mm-hmm.
but it's almost like we have to learn how to like be that for ourselves and validate ourselves, and that's how we become confident in our own choices. But yeah, we are always looking for like that parental approval, and a lot of people don't understand. Like you go to therapy and you're talking about how your parents like don't approve of what you're doing, and they're like, why do you care, you're 30? And like
Right.
they don't understand our culture.
Right.
Like
Right.
of
Of
course we
course
care
not.
what our
What do you,
parents think.
what do I care? Like, those are
Yeah.
my parents. Like, what are you talking? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Ada was saying that's how it should be. Validation is important. We shouldn't discount it. Yeah, it is important, but not to a point where it sabotages your life, your choices, your feelings, not to a point where you feel, and I don't know as a man that you're gonna feel as stuck in your decisions as me as a woman, not getting the validation from my parents that all I wanted, I never want to upset them in my life. And the thing that we don't understand is that should we make our own choices, they're not going to be upset. They will
Right.
be happy. Uh, yeah, Faye's commenting on the whole therapist thing.
Yeah. And thank you, Jamal. I love you. Do you want to talk about
Yeah.
mom guilt? I feel like
Yeah,
that's a big one.
so that was the other thing that we wanted to bring out. So besides the child, the immigrant parents guilt, there's also the massive, biggest guilt in the universe, right? Is the mom guilt. You can upset your parents. Should you ever upset your parents? That's okay, but you can never be okay, or you can, but as Arab woman, you'd let go of everything, but feeling that you're not a good mom or you're not an enough mom, or you haven't done enough for your children. Or I could have done this, but I didn't do that. I was talking to Amanda yesterday, and I mentioned to her how since I came back from my trip to Lebanon, I've been meaning to go to the nail salon, and like I just want to go and relax and just unwind. I'm a mom of
Mhm.
twins, so I really do a lot of work, right? I don't need to explain myself, but that's what I wanted to do. So since then, up until today, I didn't get the guts and audacity to just go when nobody's stopping me. If my husband knows right now that I want to go, I hope you're watching this. I need to go.
That's why we did this
It's like
live, so that you
he
could go to
sees
the nail
me
salon.
going live and he goes, nope, I see her the whole day at home. But what do you call this? There's these conversations going on in my head that
Hmm.
I'm gonna go to the nail salon now, and my husband has been working the whole day, even though I'm working the whole day, but he gets more tired because he's the man. And even though I'm working and I'm cooking and I'm cleaning the whole day, but I'm always thinking about his work the whole day. Okay. So then we just need to be more transparent with them. Yes, Adel.
Yes, I
Yes,
love that, Adil.
yes,
We're going to talk about that too
yes,
when we talk about solutions. I love that.
yes. Thank you for bringing that up. This is such a fun live. I love that people are interacting and
Yeah, it is.
bring something in. But yeah, so I we're sitting like in the backyard every afternoon. I have 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to go do whatever I want to do. And then I look at my husband and I say, Haram, I can't leave the kids with him. What if the two of them cry at once? What if this does? What if the, I can't. How am I gonna go and like let's say leave Julia behind? Okay, if I take Julia, how am I gonna leave the other two? What is this? What kind of life is why do
Yeah.
we do that to ourselves? This is just a simple example of something that's actually extra. Like I know Arab moms, including somebody that's very close to me. I'm not gonna name who so I don't get in trouble. That never even think about going to the nail salon. Like this is not even like what are you crazy,
Hmm.
Um Apple better pay you. You're gonna increase iMac sales with that. But what do you call this? You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't, if we want to take a moment for ourselves, we feel bad because right away you're thinking as a mom, you're projecting alternatives. What is it that I can do as a mom instead? What do my kids need? I was telling Amanda, I'm the kind of mom that barely ever made cakes, and cookies for her kids. And that's I don't know how. And like I'd rather read a science book with my kids. I'd rather color it and and do like water paint or whatever with my kids. But it's in the back of my head, wallah, I'm not a good mom, Anjad. I'm not the best mom. Haram. I never cooked like a cake for my kids. So what? My kids get a cake every other day. Like, they're always sugared up. Like, why do we do that to ourselves?
Right.
And I am sure that it's 100 times worse with other women. So you guys, it's not healthy and it's not helpful. And the best thing as a mom that you can do for your children is when your children see you taking care of yourself. I
So
am
true.
guilty about taking care of myself because I haven't seen that from my parent, right?
Hmm.
I've seen my mom, give us 24/7, always washing the dishes, making food, welcoming guests, preparing for, doing the laundry, taking care of our schooling. She's always up on on her feet, doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
so I didn't learn how. Okay, like she's was really good about taking care of herself at home, putting her makeup on and whatever. I learned that from her, and that was nice. But she never came and told me, hey, Farah and kids, the rest of the kids, bye, guys. I'm gonna be out for half an hour because I want me time. You know,
Yeah.
I want,
And
I want time to rest. I want to go out with my friends, and it's okay if it's without you guys. Guess what? You'll be okay. So yeah, I do that more often. And in the beginning, like first time that you do it when your child is older, your kids like, are you okay? Like, you want to go somewhere without us? Like, you serious? you know,
yeah, I do your.
Julia thought that I was first. I remember like 2, 3 years ago, she thought that it was very weird that I wanted to go out without her.
Mhm.
But then I told her, remember how you go to your friend's house and you go and you have fun, and mama sometimes is not there? Yeah, I want to go to my friend's house too. And and it's gonna be like a mommy play date.
Mommy.
What am
Yeah, it's funny. You made me realize my mom has four children and two stepchildren, and we're all adults. But like every time my mom goes to do her hair, like she like gets her hair done maybe once a month, right? And she used to like disappear for like 2, 3 hours. And like for some reason, every time my mom would go disappear, like everything would hit the fan, and we're like, "Where's mom? Mom's not answering. We need like it's you're also like conditioning your children to
Mhm.
think that you're available all the time, so that we don't know what to do when my mom's not available.
So
And we're adults. Like
such
somehow
a
we're all like, "Where's mom? I need this. I need this." Or when my mom went to started going to school when I was maybe 10 or 11, and I was used to having her there all the time. And then when she started, what my mom did was actually amazing. Like she was like, I want to, have a career. So she went to school. But at the time I was like, why can't mom bring me my lunch? I forgot it. Like I almost like resented her for going out and doing stuff on her own. But now I see like actually my mom doing this for herself has taught me to,
My own lunch.
yeah, exactly. Make my own lunch and deal with the consequences of forgetting things myself. And
True.
also that
Yeah.
it's important to like if you have these career goals, like not to set them aside.
Yes. Oh my God, that's such a big thing. Julia always tells me how, Mama, when are you going back to Fortson? When are you going to be back in teaching? Because she went, like, when she was younger, she'd go to my classroom. She'd see me in my element, per se, and she'd see me teaching, and she'd be like, she'd feel my energy. Your kids know when you're happy. And so if my child had seen me, happy and teaching, then it doesn't mean that she feels that, oh, she's taking care of her students, not taking care of me.
Hmm.
And now same thing with the business, like she knows that this is something that fills my cup, that makes me happy. So she wants it for me. But not all kids are gonna feel that if you don't, bring that up to them, and if you don't raise them this way, if you
Right.
have these conversations with them. Um, I feel like, the one thing, my own, my one philosophy, the one thing that I want to raise my kids to so that they don't have the mom guilt in the future or the child guilt is that, things they can mess up and things are going to have consequences if they'll mess up, right? Whether it's consequences on their own life or, consequences for, the way, whatever, we interact with each other, et cetera, et cetera. But no matter what happens, kids should always know that their parents have an unconditional love for them.
Hmm.
I don't think that we realized that until we got older. You know what I'm saying? We always thought, even no matter whether you admit it or not, you always thought in the back of your head that if, my parents wanted me to be a doctor, my grades, I can barely pull off a B. Like, what is this? I can't do this.
Hmm.
There's no way I can be a doctor. You always felt in the back, in the bottom of your heart that now, my parents are not gonna love me as much or be proud of me as much or whatever.
Yeah, it's like we know, I mean, on a like almost intellectual level, we know our parents love us unconditionally, but like when
Feel
you
it.
grow up with these like expectations and norms, you feel like, oh, if I don't do this thing, I'm not going to get the love from my parents. Or I once asked my mom, just like hypothetically, I was like, if I wanted to be a stripper, like what would you do? And she was like,
Oh, nice.
I would never talk to you again. And I was like, it just hurt me that like there was anything I could do. And like, not that I ever want to, like, I don't want to be a stripper, but like, I hurt that like there was actually things I could do that would make my mom never talk to me again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I would take a deep breath if my daughter tells me that. I would take a deep breath and think about it for a couple.
It was very hypothetical, just to be clear.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's important though that the child knows that yes, there could be consequences. You're gonna do things that are gonna hurt. At the end of the day, like I always tell Julia, like when she's not, let's say she's not doing her homework on time or whatever, or she's not getting things done, I tell her, you don't have to do it if you don't want to do it. If you don't want to have a career in the future, you don't have to do it. This is yours. This is your choice. I always make her feel like,
Yeah,
she
that's so nice.
owns her education. And if I distract her during her study time, and that's true though, if I distract her, I am taking away from her educational time. I am taking away from her rest time. So it's you can't be perfect as a parent, but the only thing you can do is you can try to just sit with yourself and think, okay, the things that I'm stuck in, that I'm having a very hard time getting out of, is it fair that I do the same thing to my child
Hmm.
now that I've realized it, right?
Well, like that's exactly how you break these like generational patterns that get
Right.
like all this the way of being has been like kind of passed down through our families and it
Hmm.
takes like a lot of consciousness and rewiring to not continue to pass down things that like and I'm not like shading anyone like I my parents are amazing
Right,
but
I know.
some of the stuff that got passed down like maybe not is not the most useful
Yeah.
for me but
And
like
feeling guilty, we were saying yesterday about how feeling guilty can be healthy sometimes, like it's not like you shouldn't feel like alarmed anytime you feel guilty, but like you were telling me that you would assess the guilt, right? So what would you do, right? If you feel guilty about something.
yeah so I think so. It's important not to like let that guilt like kind of settle in your body. Like it could be a good indicator of like, oh, I need to like look at something right now. Like if you feel like you're feeling guilty about something, I think the first thing to do is to like sit down and kind of assess, where is this guilt coming from? What is it? Like, and you can do that in two different ways. Kind of depends if you're like a more analytical, logical person, or if you're more like kind of intuitive and you want to go into the body. So if you're more logical and like to analyze things, what I would recommend is journaling. Like take a piece of paper, make one column, like two columns maybe, and put like, what am I feeling in one column, and then put why, where is this coming from in the other column. So like you might say, I feel guilt. And in the other column, it could be like, I feel guilt because, I didn't help my sister when she needed help because I was busy doing XYZ thing. So you just write down all the reasons that's coming up in your mind, and it can be as specific as that. Or I feel guilt because I want to get my nails done, like your example, but I don't want to leave my kids at home with my husband alone. So then at least you have an assessment of like what it is that you're dealing with that you
I feel
want to.
like you take them out of your body and you place them on
Yeah.
paper, you know?
Or if you're not like an analytical like writer type person, you can actually just sit down, close your eyes, and like feel into it and say like, what am I feeling in my body? Like, where is this guilt manifesting? Where is it in my stomach? Is it in my heart? Is it in my head? Like, and kind of talk to it and say, what are you trying to tell me? Like, what does this guilt want me to know? And sometimes maybe your guilt is telling you that it's time to like give yourself some compassion, right? It doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I feel guilty, so I should go help my sister right now. It might mean I feel guilty, so I need to have a conversation with myself about what I'm feeling and say to myself, like, it's okay that you didn't have time to help someone, and what you're doing is enough, and you are doing your best, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because that's like really the best way to deal with this like constant like pattern of feeling guilty all the time is to just rewire. Like you have to kind of rewire your thought patterns so that you're not feeling like that, or if you are feeling like that, it's a momentary like, okay, I feel guilty, but I know I'm doing my best, and that's okay.
So let's say, for example, that you're, and I mean, you're aunt and right,
Hmm.
and you have your nieces and nephews, and you'd love to talk to them on a daily basis, but you end up talking to them once a month,
Hmm.
and the guilt grows to a point
Yeah.
where you feel stuck.
Hmm.
You feel like, if I'm so like, I feel so shy to even try to call them and talk to them. And that
Hmm.
goes for another month,
Hmm.
right? So the ripple effect of the guilt makes you drown further and further and further more. How, not everybody has the ability to talk nicely to themselves, right?
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing I think when we were talking about solutions that we wanted to share here is like it always comes down to self-talk and how are you talking to yourself? And it can take a while to shift your internal narrator from being one of like hyper criticism, or like even being mean to yourself. Like I used to tell myself I was stupid in my head, to being more supportive and understanding. And like that's why I do self-talk workshops, because like it's not easy to just be like, oh, I'm going to be nice to myself now. Like when
Right, right.
you're used to being kind of critical, like
Like,
most of
okay,
us
I feel
are
guilty, I feel
ourselves.
bad, but you know what? Stop. Let me be nice. No, it doesn't work. Like,
Yeah.
you
Well,
have
what you and I did, like in the first workshop I did that I think was so helpful for people is
oh yeah.
you were feeling guilty, I think, about like your parents wanting to come over and you maybe not being available to them at that
Right.
time. And I said, how would you talk to a friend who came to you with the same problem? Like we can do that with the manicure example actually. Like, okay, you want to go get your manicure, but you come home and your kids are like going wild, and your husband's like, you want to spend time with him and you don't want to leave him with the kids. So
Right.
if your friend called you and was like, I don't know what to do, I really want to go to the nail salon, but like I don't want to leave my kids and husband alone, like what would you tell that person?
Right. Yeah. Like I tell my friend, like, girl, just go. Are you kidding? Like,
Right.
they're
Right.
they're gonna be just fine. Just go. They're, 5 minutes into what, right when you walk into your car, they're gonna be having a blast. They'll get to do all the things that they're not allowed to do when you're there. So what are you thinking about, right? I feel like when I leave the house, it's a party at my house, because it's all everybody's going wild.
Yeah.
And when I'm home, it's still a party, but it's just a little bit more organized party. So yeah, I mean, and the other thing I would remind my friend, if you don't do this for you, who's gonna do it for you? Who's gonna
Hmm.
take care of you? And hey, you feel bad, that's okay. That's a normal feeling. All moms feel this way, right? That's a valid
Yeah.
feeling. That is okay. But then, like I was telling you yesterday, I would think about, okay, how am I gonna feel afterwards? So I'm gonna go right now, I feel guilty and tired, right? Exhausted. I need a break or whatever. I need to relax. And when I come back from the nail salon, I'm going to feel guilty again, let's say, because I left them already, but I'm going to feel relaxed. So which one would you pick?
Right.
Guilty and tired or guilty and relaxed?
Yeah.
And sometimes we exaggerate things. We exaggerate the feelings. We're not saying I am somebody that has put my profession, my career on hold to be with my kids. I am not encouraging moms to, ignore your children, to exercise any kind of abuse in that manner, where you're abusing your relationship. I don't want people to get it wrong where, okay, we're calling for Arab women to stop being, the caring moms that they are.
Right.
No, we are saying that even Islamically, if you're Muslim, Allah tells you that you have to take care of yourself. Your nafs, yourself has rights on you. And we're not taught that. That's
Hmm.
somehow part of the book that gets ignored all the
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
You know? And we're not raised on that. And our role models don't do that in front of us. You have an
Right.
obligation and a duty towards yourself. You have to take care of it, protect it.
Hmm.
You know, I I want to be the best, strongest, most relaxed, fun, um, real. Like I want to be real in front of my kids. I want to cry in front of my kids if I need to. And I want when they come and ask me, Mama, why are you crying? Even though it breaks their heart or my heart, I want to tell them I was having a rough day, and this is what I'm gonna do about it, right? Instead of, well, we never see mom or dad cry in our lives. So
Right.
now, as an adult, I cry. I don't know what to do. Oh, shoot, shoot. What do you do now? you know,
Yeah.
all of these hidden emotions and hidden feelings. So as a mom, I want to be real in front of my kids, and I want to. The only way for me to be the strong mom that I want to be for them, because parenthood is rough, is hard, right? The only way that I can do that is if I maintain this body, this spirit, this mind, those emotions.
Hmm.
When you were talking about the guilt and what you do about it and the solutions, sometimes, or like the healthy guilt versus the bad guilt, sometimes it's important just to shift, um like to try to really understand, like you were saying, where the guilt is coming from, because sometimes we think it's coming from a spot, but it's really like, no, there's a deeper reason behind,
Yeah.
right? So like I'll tell you, like for example, I feel super guilty and bad when I'm late on my prayers, right? And I know that this is like a Arab common syndrome, like common.
Hmm.
A lot of people skip their prayers, if not are late for their prayers, if not, pray once a month or whatever. And a lot of people pray on time, and good for them. But when I'm late for my prayers, I feel like there's a brick on my chest. And so my immediate response, my flight or fight response, let's say, would say, "Oh, I feel bad because I feel like I'm in this now weird, about to walk on the razor's relationship, like you in your words, right? With
Hmm.
Lala. No, this
Hmm.
is what I think I feel bad for. I'm scared of the consequences. Oh, I'm losing points from like my good bucket or whatever."
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's really, as far as farah comes, that's not why I feel bad. I feel bad because I miss sitting on the prayer rug. And I know that this is my favorite time of the day, where I'm sitting and just, enjoying alone time with God, with somebody that I love and I care about, and somebody that's listening to me, I'm listening to them. So the reason why I'm feeling guilty is because I feel bad for myself, that I'm taking this opportunity away from me. And what this helps, this rewiring of now me talking to myself in a different way, instead of I'm scared, I want to go because I'm scared. I want to go because I want to avoid the punishment. Now I want to go and pray because I am excited and I want to do myself this favor. I can't wait to go pray because I know that I don't want to miss out. Now I'm excited to go. Now I'm going to start to put things aside and finish things up more easily. But I feel like, part of the reason why we keep avoiding, like I was telling you, we keep avoiding, I end up not talking, or I end up not communicating, or I end up not doing the thing that I may want to do, is because we're so harsh on ourselves and we don't understand that, like, okay, like you're talking to your nieces and your nephews, they may make you feel something very special that you just miss them.
Yeah, yeah,
But if you keep on telling yourself, this is my responsibility, this is what I have
yeah.
to do, you're not going to do it anymore.
Well, I think with religious guilt especially, it's like what's really helpful is a shift from looking at God as like this like almost human type
Hmm.
like person that's angry at you that wants to punish you like because part of the guilt like I had in my 20s, like I felt guilty about like living this kind of like American life in New York. And I thought like when relationships wouldn't work out, I'd be like, oh, God's punishing me for my lifestyle, which was so damaging for me and my body and just like all of the stuff I was carrying around. But like I have now shifted into seeing God as like a very loving, like we don't talk about God's like compassion and love. So like opening up yourself and your body to like feel
We
love.
do. Not everybody does. And
Yeah,
it's your responsibility to find the people,
right.
right?
Yeah, and like I have, but actually like shifting from feeling guilty to not like checking a box like oh I did my
That's
prayer today or my
a big
meditation today or whatever it is to
difference.
feeling like okay those are tools available for me to connect with like the beautiful like divinity that there is and available to me from God like
Right.
so there's no like reason to feel guilty all the time when you can these are just things available to you to strengthen your relationship with the divine.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It makes you looking forward to do that. It makes you more excited to do this. Same thing with relationship with people, relationship with work, like I am trying to go to sleep and then I feel bad. I feel guilty. Oh my God, like there was this person that needed like whatever, this quote, for example, and I had promised them that I'm gonna do it by midnight tonight, but I didn't do it. And I'm there at 1 o'clock in the morning taking a shower and I'm thinking about this. Why am I feeling guilty? Didn't I try my best? And that was the best that I
Yeah.
could do. If the
Well,
person's not going to understand, they're not meant to be my client. Ciao. Done. Move on.
that's where affirmations come in. And I feel like a broken record because I'm always like, affirmations, affirmations, like, use your affirmations every workshop I
Right.
do. But like,
So what are
affirmation,
some? Right.
affirmation, like, let me just explain what it is in case anyone doesn't know. But an affirmation is just like a statement, basically, that can be used to rewire your subconscious thoughts. So we have all these subconscious thoughts running. And when we replace them with like a conscious statement about either how we feel or how we want to feel, that helps to rewire and to kind of release all of that unconscious stuff that's like running in the background and you're making more intentional choices and thoughts about what you're saying to yourself. So if you're trying to work on some issue in your life, and let's take Arab guilt or just guilt in general as an example, you should take this an affirmation and put it everywhere, like so that you're constantly reminding yourself of it. So one for guilt would be like, I'm doing my best, and that's enough. Because that one works for like if you have mom guilt, it works for like when you have the guilt of like too many you're being pulled in too many different directions and you feel like you're not doing enough for each thing, which is so common for women. It works for your family. It works even for like the religious guilt of like, oh, I'm not like praying enough or meditating enough or anything like that because you're just affirming for yourself, I'm doing my best and that's okay. That's enough. I'm doing my best. Or like
Right.
like you with your client, if you forget to send something, it's like I'm doing my best and actually that's enough. So if you're really trying to work through that, I like to like put affirmations in places I'm going to see them. Like I'll put them in the bathroom mirror or like by my desk. So it's like, okay, wait, I'm reminding myself throughout the day to say I'm doing my best and that's okay. Um, you could also, whatever your issue, like let's say for the nail salon thing, if you wanted to go to the nail salon and you
I
like,
like to go to the nail salon today.
it's just a good example of like, okay, you want to go to the nail salon, but you're afraid, like you feel guilty leaving your
Right.
kid with your husband, saying taking care of myself benefits my family.
Yes.
Like repeat that to yourself. Taking care of myself benefits my family.
Take care of myself,
Um,
benefits my family.
Also, this isn't really an affirmation, but the quote, "You can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm," has helped me so much with people
Oh,
pleasing and like boundaries and things like that because you realize that, like, okay, by not setting boundaries and people pleasing, I'm literally harming myself. I'm hurting
absolutely.
myself. Um,
Can't be everything for everyone.
you
That's
can't, like, no one can. And Otto brought up a good point about transparency with our parents
mhm.
that I want to touch on a little bit because I know Sammy had talked also about people pleasing. And I think the one thing that's really helped me set boundaries with my family, or at least like make moves that are best for me that they might not understand, is like just like full radical honesty with why
Yeah.
I'm doing what I'm doing or why I'm setting the boundary that I'm setting.
Hmm.
And sometimes that's really difficult because the reasons can be really deep. Like I had to tell my dad like how unhappy and like actually how depressed I was being a lawyer and how stressed I was and how like I felt like I didn't want to live like in this life anymore. And him hearing that, like, that made him like fully understand why I was doing this and what I was doing, and then he could be supportive. So it's like we put all this guilt on ourselves and we project it from our parents onto ourselves. But if we actually go and talk to our parents about what we're doing, which can be really hard because not all of us are used to like having open and honest conversations with our family, but if we do that, we're kind of surprised sometimes by the way that our parents respond, and that it can be very healing, but I know it is hard to do.
So what would you tell though somebody whose parents usually are not receptive of those kind of conversations? Or let's say, I go to my mom or dad and I tell them, I was really miserable. I hated every day of my life when I was a lawyer. And then my dad, then and this is not going to happen in my family, right? And then my mom or dad would say, "Oh, really? You were miserable in a BMW or whatever. Yeah, go like get out of my face. Dismiss
Um,
of your emotions and whatever.
Yeah, because I was very lucky.
How
Like
would you,
when I
how
when
would
I
you,
told my dad, he was supportive. But like,
right?
yeah, like I think also accepting the reality that your parents might not understand things you're doing, or they might not support things you're doing, and then that's when you really have to become your own biggest cheerleader and start to support yourself and say, okay, I'm going to do this thing and just trust that when they see me, able to support myself and they see me happy, they're going to understand and it's going to be okay. Like that's where the self-talk comes in. And it's really important to like rewire your self-talk so that you're supporting yourself. Or like I
Totally.
was talking about earlier,
That's
how I
tough,
wrote myself a letter.
right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like I wrote myself a letter to say how proud I am of myself because I felt like I wasn't like getting that from my family. Um, so I think just be like working on your relationship with yourself, strengthening it so that you don't necessarily need this outside validation, but also knowing that it's important to maintain relationships with your family and just being as honest as you can with them. It's kind of a balancing act, right? Like it's not like I think in American families it's understood that you're just going to go off and do what you want to do and like your family's accepting of it, but we don't, our culture is so community based that there's always kind of going to be a push and pull when you want to go out and do things that are different than like what's expected from the culture.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's also challenging and difficult for like a lot of the parents. Everybody's just trying their best. Like
Mhm.
we're not
Yeah.
there judging anybody. I'm sure, like, my parents and my aunts and uncles and everybody, they just wanted to be the best, most robust, whatever, like evolved parents they could be. And, they also wanted to instill the right values in us. And I think that they've raised us well because we have the ability to have these conversations right now. If they didn't raise
Mhm.
us well, we wouldn't even have been having this talk right now, right? So I'm very grateful that they exist and for their presence and for all of that. But at the end of the day, nobody's responsible but you. Not
Yeah.
only do you have to be your best cheerleader, um, and champion, you got to be your own champion. You also have to be there for yourself. And like the one thing that we were talking about yesterday that would always work for me if the whole friend thing didn't work. So if I'm having a conversation with myself and I need to tell myself something, and I would say, what would I tell my friend? right? And I'd be like, girl, do this, whatever. And
Mhm.
if that didn't work, then the one thing that always works, and I'll leave everybody with that because I know, that people might have other things to do, that I'd just stop for a second and I'd look at 7 or 8 year old Farah.
Mhm.
And if you're listening, think about yourself when you were 8 years old
Mhm.
for a second. What does he or she, what does that girl deserve? What would you tell her? Would you tell 8 year old Farah, shame on you?
Right. Right.
You would, I mean, you'd
It
go
makes
in,
me
but
emotional. Thank God.
you'd hurt somebody if somebody,
Right.
Farah, shame on you. I'd actually get into a fight if somebody tries to hurt 8 year old Farah.
Mhm.
Then how come you have the ability to defend 8 year old Farah, but you're so brutal on 34 year old Farah? Sad. Sad.
It is. I used to like sometimes I would look at old pictures of myself and like get emotional because I'm like, wow, I'm so hard on myself and like that poor girl. Like but
We're over that though. We're gonna get over that. I mean,
yeah.
it takes time. It's not like a night and day. We're gonna get over that.
Yeah. And the last little nugget I'll leave you all with, because you reminded me of this when you were talking about our parents doing our best, is you can also flip the affirmations
Hmm.
to help heal your relationship with your parents by saying, my parents are doing their best, and that is enough. Like,
Yes.
so it's
Oh
not
my God.
just
That's
you.
healing. Oh
You
yeah.
can also have compassion and empathy and understanding. Like I'm all the things I've like complained about today about like my parents. I don't like. I actually have so much empathy and compassion for everything that they've done, and
Ex-
that's very healing. Like I'm not like resentful for anything, and I love the journey I've been on and how it's unfolded. And my parents have been a major part of that. So, I think having compassion and empathy for yourself and the people involved in the boundary setting is like the way to go, I guess.
Yeah, like I just want to go in and take a shower in peace, right? This is the
Mhm.
number one requested thing for
Yeah.
all moms just want to take a shower. I just need to take a shower. Nobody to bother me. I'm not gonna do a half an hour shower, you guys. Tell them every day, I'm gonna do a 15-minute shower. Leave me alone, right?
Hmm.
And I get them knocked on the door. Mom, come see what Catalina, Angelina, Mama this and that. Oh my,
Yeah.
Mama this, Mama that, whatever. I gotta tell myself, like you were saying, you know what? They're kids. That's the best they can do. They'll learn, they'll understand.
Yeah.
The line, okay, the connection
Yeah.
went. But yeah, I feel like that's so empowering that not only that you also talk to yourself, but you also, like put the boundaries, stop the judgment, um, just, have mercy on your own soul. That's how I feel. If anybody was to take anything from this live or talk, just not only, Merasil is all about being kind to others, but
Hmm.
also I would encourage you to be kind to yourself too, as well.
Yeah. Well, that's the perfect note to end on. Be kind to yourself. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
everyone who joined
I
and
appreciate you.
everyone's comment.
Thank you, thank you, thank you
What?
for doing that. I
Oh
was
yeah,
saying,
you.
thank you.
Oh, thank you. This was so fun. Thank you, everyone.
Right, thank you. And we'll talk hopefully about something else, another time. All right,
Yeah,
bye-bye.
if anyone has requests for like the next topic, let us know.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right,
Mhm.
we'll talk,
All
Amanda.
right. Bye. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye-bye.